the latest on Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin. And for more on that, we want to bring you a live report from Fox Multimedia reporter Jake Alexis, who is live in Cincinnati, outside of the hospital where Damar Hamlin is seeking care. Hey, Jake, tell us more.
Good evening, Shirley. Well, the last thing we heard from the Bills organization is that Hamlin is in critical condition in the intensive care unit with a breathing tube down his throat, but the team says his vitals are back to normal. The 24-year-old Bills safety tackled a Bengals receiver in the first quarter of last night's game. After the play, Hamlin stood up, then fell backwards and went into cardiac arrest. Hamlin received CPR for over 9 minutes before his heart restarted. Crews took him off the field in an ambulance and brought him here to the University of Cincinnati's Medical Center. Players on both teams were emotional while Hamlin was getting medical attention on the field. This video was shot as the ambulance left the field more than 20 minutes after Hamlin collapsed. Last night's game between Buffalo and Cincinnati was postponed, and the Bills are back in Buffalo. The vice president of football operations for the NFL spoke after the league postponed the game.
And frankly, those that were tuned into the game all traumatized. Myself, personally, just thinking through what is actually happening, what is taking place real time.
And Hamlin's family released a statement today. It reads, in part, on behalf of our family, we want to express our sincere gratitude for the love and support shown to Damar during this challenging time. We are deeply moved by the prayers, kind words, and donations from fans around the country. Your generosity and compassion mean the world to us. Please keep Damar in your prayers. We will release updates as soon as we have them. This afternoon, NFL decision yet when to resume the game between the Bills and the Bengals, but it will not be this week.
Hamlin, well, earlier today, Live Now's Rain Augustine spoke with a doctor about
brought to light about concussions. We thought, well, maybe he had a concussion and really or hurt his neck. But as it appeared, he got right up after that tackle and then collapsed, which makes you think, could it be more of a cardiac problem? And so there are well-known phenomena that occur if you have blunt trauma to the chest. And when you look at some of the other angles of this injury, this collision, you notice that he really took a brunt of the impact on his chest. Now that can lead to a rhythm problem, and there's a condition known as commotiocarditis. That's where the electrical rhythm gets disturbed, and it can lead to things like ventricular fibrillation or tachycardia, which are very, very serious conditions. Now, this cardiac arrest as having a blockage, but this was more of an electrical storm. The other potential injury is when someone is in a car accident or they have a blunt blow to the or a blunt trauma to the chest. They can cause anatomic injury, and that can be catastrophic as well. But if you put it all together and you see what happened after the injury, I think he went into ventricular fibrillation or tachycardia. They did CPR, and they shocked him, and that brought him back to a stable rhythm. And so then he was brought to the hospital, and I believe from reports that he's sedated, probably on a breathing machine, a ventilator, and being monitored very, very carefully by just about everyone. Here's the problem. You can't recognize it until it actually happens. And the trainers and everyone came right up, and when they couldn't feel a pulse, they started doing CPR, and then they applied the defibrillator. So how does this happen? Here's a 24-year-old guy, completely healthy, at the top of his game, in great shape. How does this happen? So the exactly at the right time where it is contracting and then relaxing. An impact exactly at that moment can then lead to an onset of this arrhythmia problem, and that's what I believe happened. That's I think what occurred. Now it's rare. It's very rare, but it can happen, especially with trauma to the chest.
Felt like an eternity. So could you walk us through the EMT's approach to the situation and how they worked on him before putting him into the ambulance?
Trainers came to him the minute he collapsed. Everyone gathered around. They immediately determined that this was not a musculoskeletal problem, it was a cardiac problem, and that he had lost consciousness. Then, without a pulse, they started doing CPR, all right? They then called, and the EMS was there. They did a defibrillation, and defibrillators are very smart pieces of equipment. They will analyze the rhythm, and if it is a rhythm like ventricular tachycardia or ventricular fibrillation, it will recognize that and deliver the shock, and that's what happened. So then you get into a more life-sustaining rhythm, like what we call normal sinus rhythm, and he was then put on the stretcher, put in the ambulance, and that was what was going on. Because if your heart is not pumping, then you're not going to have the proper amount of blood going to the brain, and you're not going to have oxygen going to the brain, and that can be devastating if it's for a prolonged period of time. I don't mean hours, I mean minutes. So hopefully, and I am hoping and praying that he did not suffer any significant, what we call hypoxic injury to the brain. And basically, let's hope and pray that they are letting things calm down, they have him sedated, and give him a chance to heal up, and we'll see where we are.